So I bought 2 saws, sold one, kept one. Most of you guys who've been paying attention to the channel at all know that I've been getting more and more into the climbing stuff, and I have a pretty nice climbing saw. I have the Steel 200T, and the Steel 200T is arguably the gold standard of professional climbing saws. There's just not really a lot of saws that stack up to it as far as balance, power to weight, and everything. Right size fuel tank. I mean, it's just an awesome package. But it is somewhat heavy. This saw weighs 7.7, or it's about 8 pounds, basically. And don't try this at home if you're not a tree climbing professional, but if you're holding the saw out at arm's length trying to make cuts, that's a fair amount of weight. I don't even know if I can do it left-handed. Oh yeah, but I'm shaking. So, I got another saw. It was on my want list for sure, and I ended up basically getting it for free. So here she is. Little Echo 2511T, and yeah, it is a smaller engine, 25 cc's. The 200T is 33 cc's. That 33 cc's gives you a fair amount more torque. That's a really nice little motor in there. But this thing weighs about 5 pounds, which means I can hold it out here all day, and up here, and down here, and over here, and it's just not a strain at all. Very agile, very light. So, really happy about that. And this particular saw, I think I got it for a really good deal for a reason. I like to think of it as a saw rescue. The fella who had it was moving out of state. He had the 2 saws, this one and the Husky 445, and he said the Husky runs great, and this saw, he loaned it out to his son about 2 years ago. His son had some problems with it, and then he'd never tried to start it since. So, I don't know. I bought it, I started it, it ran poorly. I cleaned up the plug, cleared up the spark arrestor on the muffler because it was completely blocked, tuned it, and it runs pretty good now. We're gonna do some modifications to it, just the muffler mod probably, and more tuning, but it's a great little saw. It'll start up probably right now. I'm not used to having a primer bulb. It's kind of funny. Choke on these is at the back, which is a little odd, but can't argue with that. So, yeah. I had another good Forester chain for that saw. Well, actually, Danny had it. So I was able to throw that on there, and the thing actually cuts pretty good. And in a video coming real soon, we'll do some before and after cuts with the muffler mod and whatever else I end up doing to it. But real quick, I wanted to talk about something, and I think we'll go out to the shop to do it because I'm halfway burnt from yesterday. I don't really burn, I tan really easily, but I kind of think I should get this bald head out of the sun. So let's go in the shop. All right, something that I wanted to talk about here in regards to these little topping saws, top handle saw, arborist saw, whatever you want to call it, climber saw. I love them, right? Like, they're fantastic, and this one in particular, extremely light, very handy, all that stuff. But if you read, as soon as I find it, yeah, right here by the, I'm not really going to be able to get that on camera, but right here by the pull cord it says, for use by tree service professionals only. And the 200T has basically the same sticker on it. Now, I am not the guy that will tell anybody else really what to do and what not to do, but I am going to say that in this case, I agree for the most part with that little warning sticker. And the reason is, even these top handle saws are really not meant to be run one-handed. Now, tree climbers often will, and that's fine. It's still America. It's a free choice. I'll do it too, because sometimes it's more safe to run it with one hand than it is to let go of the tree or the rope or the branch or whatever to hold onto the saw or balance or whatever. But I will say that these little saws, in my estimation, are the most dangerous of all the modern saws. And the reason being, kickback. If you're not familiar with kickback, it is when as the chain is moving forward, the tip of the chain or the tip of the bar gets caught on something or hits a branch behind the what you're cutting, or you pull the saw too far. Let me see how I can demonstrate that. You pull the saw too far back and it, there, like that. You pull it too far back out of the cut and it reaches a point where it can ride up. And kickback can be very violent and throw the saw violently backwards. Now, I've talked about it a little bit in other videos. Short bars are more susceptible to that, and that's because the pivot point, being your hand, is closer to the point of torque, point of torque, that works, being the tip of the bar. And the top handle saws are even worse, because now, instead of having all the leverage of having your control hand back here, now it's up here. So it's a very short lever. And I've had some fairly close calls myself. Not to mention, on top of that, with these extremely light saws, if you are cutting at any kind of an off angle, then the torque, as you accelerate, pull the trigger, throws it in a weird direction, and you can get yourself in trouble pretty quickly. So that's just my word of warning about small saws, specifically top handle saws, and kickback. In my estimation, there are a lot of rarely used or intermittent users, homeowners and such, that buy these little top handle saws because they're light, they're convenient, whatever, and there are a lot of accidents involved because they're really not taking into account all of the added dangers of a short bar top handle saw, from what I've seen. And on top of that, these little saws, they're usually, because they're so compact, they're a little bit more finicky. For instance, this saw, when I got it, the air filter was pretty well plugged. And that just is, you see that on the 200Ts as well. And it just is a problem because everything is so close together, and you're cutting at weird angles. Sawdust is going to go everywhere, and you can't have a huge filter because it's a tiny saw. So obviously I cleaned this one up before I ran it very much, but it's just, it's not a saw for everybody, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But for those of us who have one, use one, and like them, this particular one, I believe this is the lightest gas chainsaw in production ever, actually, I think. But I could be wrong about that. But it's amazing. I can't believe, I mean, when you pick this thing up, it just feels like, it feels like it shouldn't be real, you know? Like, but at the same time, it's solid. Like, it's well built and you can tell it. So I love this thing. You'll definitely see a lot more of this on the channel soon. And it's not replacing the 200T, not by any means. That 200T is amazing. I was chunking out, you know, 14-inch cottonwood with that thing, and it was just, the bar was buried and just still ripping. This saw, even with modifications, probably won't do that. Not anywhere near as well, anyway. So the idea behind this saw is that trees with a lot of limbs, this is going to be super handy for. So we have a lot of spruce trees up here. I haven't actually climbed one yet, but I imagine that after climbing a spruce tree and cutting, you know, 100, 150 limbs or whatever, because they really do have a lot of limbs, with the 200T, my arm is probably going to be very dead. And this thing, probably a little bit less dead. So that's the whole purpose of it. I am gonna, like I said before, do couple of little modifications to it and see how much I can use it, but I'm just super happy to add this little guy to the collection. And yeah, I think that's about it for today. Probably gonna make a couple of strange videos in the next few days. It's springtime in Alaska, and I work in tourism, so we're starting to do stuff, and I'm probably gonna make some videos of some of that type of stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But if you're interested in this junk, or you know, just like the sound of my voice, go ahead and subscribe or comment, or don't subscribe, or just watch my videos, I guess. Yeah. See you later.